On Central News tonight, an update on the Cambridge Expressway, gold mine experience, ice caps of Greenland and the housing accord. Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Monday the 27th of October. I'm Hilary Entwistle. The Cambridge section of the Waikato Expressway starts south of the existing Tamahere interchange and runs for 16 kilometres, ending around 2.5 kilometres south of Cambridge town, where it connects with the existing State Highway 1. Once complete, traffic through Cambridge will be reduced by an estimated 10,000 vehicles per day. Anne-Marie spoke with Mayor of the Waipa District, Jim Milcrest, who recently completed a flyover of the expressway and also had a bird's eye view of the growth in Cambridge.
Oh, fantastic. It was a great opportunity. It was organised by the principal contractors, HEBS and New Zealand Transport Agency. And they're doing a film basically of the progress of the whole expressway project. So it was an opportunity a spare seat in the helicopter, but they're making huge progress, flying the full length of it from the Karapiro end through with the major viaduct that they're constructing there, which is it's going to be pretty spectacular when they finish that. But most of the interchanges, the work's well underway, and yes, they're making really great progress. Last year they were pretty lucky, I suppose. Farmers didn't get any grass, but they got a good construction season, so that was great. And I suppose the contractors and NZTA have done a fantastic job in communicating to the people of Cambridge, telling them about changes in traffic movements, and that's meant that we've had very few complaints over that construction period.
On completion, traffic through Cambridge is expected to reduce by up to 10,000 vehicles a day, which is fantastic for congestion. But does that make the retail sector a little nervous?
No, it's not. It's yes, certainly that through traffic will be taken out of Cambridge, which will make it a lot more attractive and convenient place to shop. So the indications are that it's not going to have a major influence on the retail sector. It might dip a bit to start with, but there isn't a major concern. And I suppose the advantages that the expressway is going to bring to Cambridge and getting a lot more people there and a lot quicker between, say, Cambridge and Auckland is going to offset any of those issues, I would think, in a very short period of time.
What are other impacts do you believe the expressway is going to have on Cambridge, both positive and negative?
Oh, absolutely. The ease of getting, well, firstly to Hamilton, I suppose, but then to Auckland. And we're already getting a number of people moving into the town from Auckland, either retiring, selling up, and because it's making it so much of an easier trip. So I think we'll actually continue to gain in population because of the expressway. So yes, it'll just make it a more attractive community village type stop, I suppose. Tell
me a little bit about the Karapiro Viaduct Bridge, if you can. It looks very impressive on paper.
Yes, it's a huge construction. I think it's the largest one that they're doing, certainly in close proximity to us. So yeah, it's amazing. They finished the piling now, and the concrete beams, cross beams are up. They're just waiting for the steel beams to come later this month, as I understand it, and then the deck will be able to be put on that viaduct.
It's fantastic. Now, of course, you had a bird's eye view of Cambridge during the flyover. There's quite a lot of growth happening, isn't there? Yes,
I suppose that's one of the the byproducts of the flight, but having a look at some of the major residential growth that's occurring in Cambridge, it's quite phenomenal. The St Kilda waterways and all of the growth on the northern side of the Greenbelt, and there are some phenomenal houses being built in that area.
For up-to-date information on the Waikato Expressway progress, go to nzta.gov.nz/projects/Waikato Expressway. This spring, Waihi welcomed in the opening of the new Gold Discovery Centre. Eddie Murrow from the centre talks to Amanda Harper about what visitors can expect when they walk through the doors.
So, Amanda, the Gold Discovery Centre has been set up as a information and visitor portal. So when they first walk through the door, they can expect to see within a matter of a few seconds exactly all the wonderful things there are to do in our area and our region.
Okay. And how's it been since the centre opened a few weeks ago?
It's been going fantastically well. We opened the centre specifically for the school holidays, which started about 3 weeks ago now. And visitors are coming in. The timing for the school holidays was just absolutely fantastic. Lots of people through the door, lots of families, lots of children, exactly what we were hoping, which was fantastic. Yeah.
And how many people have come through already?
So we're pretty much online for what our expectations are. It's always a bit difficult, of course, with a new business because you're doing a little bit of guesswork and expectations and forecasts and all that sort of thing. But we're probably have been averaging about 100 people a day, which is really, for us, pretty much online for what we would expect, which is, just great, really.
That's a really good amount. Now, have there been any unexpected hurdles with the opening of the centre?
Yeah, good question. Luckily, fingers crossed, no. We've been watching all of the technology and all of the delivery of the exhibition itself, if you like, in the Discovery Centre to make sure that there are no major things. Little bits of tweaking here and there on things with, minor things like volume and all that sort of carry on, but no, nothing major at this stage, and we don't expect either. Let's hope we can just carry on with just the minor tweaking over the next little while.
And what's been the general opinion of visitors to the centre?
So generally, and really positive for us as a new development really, is that the general feedback has been that people are actually getting a lot more than what they expected, which is actually a nice thing for us as people who have spent many, many years now developing the project and getting ready to deliver it and then opening the doors. So people find that at the Gold Discovery Centre, the story unfolds on them, and the longer they stay, the more they find out about it. So they pop out saying, man, there was a lot to see and do down there, which is just fantastic feedback. Yeah.
So what kind of things are there to see and do?
Okay, so in the Gold Discovery Centre itself, and the name kind of describes it, it is a discovery centre. It's about people coming into an interactive and immersive and educational centre where they uncover the story of gold and why his relationship with it, why he's had a relationship with gold for probably the best part of 140 odd years now. And it's a major part of our sort of area and also region too. It's got quite a connection with the region as a whole. And so what they can expect is to unfold that story, if you like, but they've got to be physically doing things. It's not just about looking, it's about doing. So they've got to turn the knobs, push the buttons, interact with the screens and all those sort of things. And they're part of the discovery process, which is really nice. It's a way of unfolding in front of them.
So it's a bit more than a museum?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we've got a great little museum in town now that tells its story. And we always said we're not building a museum, we're building a visitor attraction in the true sense of something that helps add to our visitor offer as an area. And so the Gold Discovery Centre and iSight, which we open at the same time, does that. It's about a portal or a hub in the middle of a hub and spokes model, really, about telling people all the stuff we've got on offer.
Now, you mentioned before Waihi's relationship with gold mining over the years. Why is it important to make the most of this rich history with mining?
Well, I stated before, it's something like 140 odd years of history. So that is hard to avoid for a start because it's helped shape the town. 1878, Maccombie and Lee first discovered gold on Pukiwa at the time of the Maunga, and it's helped shape the town.
And the centre is located at the northern end of the main street of Waihi. See their website for more details, golddiscoverycentre.co.nz. Coming up next, an adventure on the ice caps. Welcome back to Central News on TV Central. Twin brothers Zach and Josh Lyon are dedicating 3 years to crossing the world's 4 largest ice caps. They've just completed the first leg of Greenland, so I spoke to them about the experience.
I personally found it a lot easier than it was physically, and that's, I guess, down to our training and our preparation earlier. But it was magical experience, and it's hard to put into words, really.
You said it was easier than you expected?
Maybe not quite a stroll in the park. It was still tough, don't get me wrong, but I worked up in my head of how hard it was going to be, and it wasn't quite as hard. So which is good, but I'm sure the other 3 caps will test me.
Speaking of, what was the worst part?
The last one is the North Pole. and it's going to be probably the hardest for us, just because it's a moving ocean all the time. But you know, by then we hope to hopefully have a bit more skill and experience, which will make it a bit easier for us to do it. Yeah.
What was the weather like?
Yes, I kind of did what Zach did and kind of built up all I'd see as a whiteout, which it was for most of the trip. But we were rewarded at the start with some bluebird skies and at the end as well, which was good.
And would you continue to walk when it's really windy outside?
Yes, there was only one day where we didn't walk, and that was when it was 100-kilometre-hour winds and visibility down to two to 3 metres. So yeah, you can't walk in that. But every other day we got out of our tent, regardless of how windy it was, and walked. So you have to get across, and it's no point in your tent waiting. So yeah, get amongst it.
So you spent a whole day inside that tent with it right out inside. What's going through your mind?
It was cosy. For the first sort of 2-3 hours, we were worried about our tent not actually staying where it was. We had a small rip in it, so we were worried about it getting a little bit bigger. But after the first couple of hours, it wasn't going anywhere, and we checked on it midway through the day. But yeah, then it was just cosy. We slept most of the day, snuggled up in our sleeping bags, and refueled and rested really for the next sort of push to the end.
You weren't scared at all?
No, not really. It was really exciting to look out the window or look out the door, and it was by far the worst weather I've ever been in, and to be sort of really quite snug in a tent, it's a different feeling. But it was exciting more than anything.
How many kilometres are you walking each day?
They vary by how much time we put in a day. So at the start we're walking in probably about 8 hours, and then at the end when we're pushing to finish we're walking, or I should say skiing, about 11 hours. So anywhere between 12 was one of our worst days, which was with very deep snow, and then I think one of our best days was 38 k's. So quite happy with stuff like that. But I think on average around 30, 32.
And the scenery must have been quite spectacular, surely.
It was. It's all the same, but in saying that, it's different every step. The wind changes, the light changes, the snow conditions change, and it's a dynamic sort of environment. And then, like Josh said, we had some bad weather where for 6 days all we saw was white. So there was no contrast, it was just white. And then about 6 o'clock one afternoon, the heavens opened, I guess, and then the sun came up, and then we had a big sort of sun halo, and then when it set we had 3 suns. It was something magical, really, really magical. The sunsets were spectacular, and the sunrises were just nowhere else, I guess, on the earth you'd get it. It was really special.
I understand you had to take precautions against polar bears?
Yes, before we left to go into the ice, we actually got a message to say there was a polar bear in like a 5 kilometre radius of where we're going to start. So we had to kind of, I suppose, watch out for him. So basically we kind of slept with our tents in a circle, and we layered our sleds around in a circle as well. So hopefully we'd hear it going through those sleds before it came to our tents. And our final precaution would have been, we had a shotgun with the group. So if worst came to worst and we couldn't scare it away with a flare, we'd have to, you do the deed. But luckily and unluckily, we didn't see one. I would like to see a polar bear, but yeah, I'm glad we didn't have to come across one either.
And you stumbled across a Cold War relic. It was an old radar station. That must have been spooky.
That's something you see that's out of the movies, a horror movie actually, like Alien out of Antarctica. But it was really cool to find something in an environment like that, and it's man-made. It's the first thing we've seen in 20 days, 20 days of man-made things. And then when we went inside, we had a bit of a tiki tour, spent 2 hours inside just walking through, and it's as if they got up and left. So they've left their food, left tents, chairs, blankets, bed mattresses, everything's been left there. Now, of course, it's been raided in the last 25 years, so a bit of stuff's been destroyed, which is sad, a bit of stuff's been vandalised, but it's still an amazing sort of thing, and yeah, it's incredible.
It's been abandoned for years, and you've been walking and not seen any man-made structure. To come across that must have been quite almost eerie.
This thing sticking out of the landscape. Very odd, but different experience really.
It took you 27 days to complete the crossing. Are you guys happy with the result and how long it took you?
Yep. we kind of planned for 25, so we had a couple of days extra food because we do obviously take into account weather days. Apparently, according to the guide, it was one of the longest and I suppose toughest ones he's guided across during the fall season. So kind of made us, or we're glad we were on that one because it will give us a bit more experience than if it was easy. So yeah, very happy I suppose with the 27 days.
Weather-wise, he said it was one of the worst. Why was that?
Pretty much, yeah. I was saying we had 6 days of whiteout at the start there, and it was continually snowing, so we had like half a metre of snow. So yeah, just the weather was not really playing ball. But other than that, most of us, to the T ready and normal expedition for them.
I have to ask, how do you walk through half a metre of snow?
It's easier on skis, much easier on skis. You're not sinking half a metre, you're sinking maybe 30 centimetres. So it's still pretty tough. So the first person we walk in a line, the first person's the trailblazer, and they make the big sort of track for everyone to follow, and then it's everyone's job thereafter to stomp out that track and make it as nice as possible for the last person. Then after half an hour we switch positions, front guy goes to the back, has a rest. So we've got this big sort of routine that we go through to make it easier on everybody, but it's still fairly tough. It's sweating material.
What was the biggest challenge?
Not enough food. Yeah, we were hungry all the time. And yeah, I don't know, we probably didn't get as much food as we needed. We lost a bit of weight, but I think, yeah, and thinking about food, we probably thought about food 80-90% of the time. And so yeah, we just kind of, I suppose, thought about what we're going to eat when we get home as well. So it was a bit of a challenge knowing you have to wait another 20 days or so to eat it.
So you weren't wanting to come home and make whale blubber hamburgers?
No, not at all. Some good old Kiwi fish and chips I was really craving for a couple of days actually.
Yeah.
For more information or to find out how to donate, go to 4caps.kiwi or follow the boys on Facebook. Just search 4Caps Expedition. Just ahead, the Housing Accord. Welcome back to Central News. In response to the housing crisis of Auckland and what some say will spread to Tauranga, the government brought in a new housing accord. The Tauranga Housing Accord was signed by Tauranga City Council and the Minister of Housing on the 14th of August 2014 and is expected to remain in place until late 2016 when the repeal provisions in the Housing Accords and Special Housing Areas Act 2013 take effect. I spoke with Mayor Stuart Crosby about the aim of the agreement.
We signed that off in August with the Minister, then Minister Smith. And so really there are two components. One is the accord itself, which sets out targets for new houses or sections to be provided. And then we use the accord on a case-by-case basis in terms of various properties around our city. So it's a two-step process. So we've done step one, now we're moving into step two.
What power does this give central and local government that it didn't already have?
Essentially it fast tracks the process. So unfortunately people's rights are reduced in terms of appeal, but in our case we make sure we still consult. And we're starting that phase now with two particular sites, consultation stage, then we'll make a decision. People can come along and talk to us about the good, the bad and the indifferent about the proposal, and then we'll make a decision. But it certainly does speed up the actual time frame as opposed to going through the normal resource management process.
How long would those processes take in the past and how long are they going to take now?
Well, a traditional one through an RMA process, if it was notified, which means the public had a say, that could take up to 3 months to go through that process, hold a hearing. Then it could be appealed and that could take up to 2 to 3 years. So worst case scenario, a decision could be held up for 3 years plus. Under this process, it'll happen in a matter of months. So quite a significant change in terms of timeframes.
Do you think that speeding up the time may increase the risk?
There is risk. So what we've done is we've gone through the whole city and we've identified approximately 20 sites that could, and I mean could, form part of the accord and take the next step. And we put those sites through quite a robust filtering process in terms of, is the infrastructure available, are there flooding issues, geotech issues, the usual stuff we would do anyway before we even considered putting it through the next step. And so currently we're doing 2 groups of about 8 to 10, and we're into the first group at the moment, and the first 2 sites are going out for consultation as we speak.
You said there are a couple of areas that have been identified as special housing areas. Where are those around the city?
In our city, they go from Bethlehem into the Tauranga city, into Mount Maunganui and Papamao, so it's right across the whole city, from sites as small as half a hectare right up to 40 plus hectares.
What makes these areas a special housing area, and what are the requirements?
That's a good question. We're using the legislation to really tidy up challenging areas that through a normal process would take forever for something to happen on. All bar one of them are in existing residential areas, so people shouldn't be surprised if houses are going to pop up next to them. One of them is a mixture of residential and rural residential, so it's slightly different. But by and large, we're just using it to utilise redundant sites around our city that have had particular barriers in the way for whatever reason, and just to fast track it through to see if there is development opportunity there.
Will the council enforce affordable housing, like 1 to 2 bedroom houses, on these special housing areas?
We're the first council to also have our own local policy attached to a housing accord, and within that our own policy we've indicated a couple of issues. One, we would like a degree of affordable housing to be constructed within the accords. Now that's not in the main legislation, it's just in our own local one. And also to have a broader mix of housing, because what we do know in Tauranga that our current housing stock is not appropriate for our future demographic. We need a lot more smaller homes, 1 and 2 bedroom homes, and I'm delighted to see that our very first housing accord that's out for consultation now is 1 and 2 bedroom dwellings. So it's really fantastic that the development community have seen there's a market there as well.
To find out more information about the Tauranga Housing Accord, visit tauranga.gov.nz. Looking at the weather for Tuesday now. Now for the marine forecast. That is Central News for today. Like us on Facebook, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Join me again tomorrow night for more stories from the Bay of Plenty and the Waikato. Until then though, I'm Hilary Entwistle and I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.